You get, what's the worst question you've ever been asked during an interview?
If I'm a woman. But I'm not woman today, let me tell you. I think that I have more women friends than men friends.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Maybe I've got a feminine side. Or maybe women understand me better than men do. I pushed the sexuality thing quite a long way on this. I spread it in as many different ways as I could.
But there's always been this sort of aura around you, well, you know, androgyny, and well...
Yeah, when you're young, is a time that you are rather androgynous looking. And that's a whole thing of classical literature and painting, and that was something that resurfaced with rock and roll in a big way. But that's, I think, something for when you're young, and I don't think that really continues when you get older, because you define yourself more. We shot footage when we dressed in drag.
Which caused quite a bit of outrage at the time.
Yeah, well, dressing in drag is pretty traditional, but it was all effeminate. And that was one of the great criticisms. But I mean, show business is effeminate in a way because show business crosses lines of gender.
Why do you do the skirts?
Well, you see, this guy, John, he made it for me, and he said, guys, I'm not wearing them.
Oh.
I'm never going to wear that.
But he does.
But you have to be very butch when you go out in the skirt. So when I'm in the skirt, I'm very aware of being very butch. And Keith, I guess a great look from Keith, because he doesn't know whether to laugh or cry. This is a strictly heterosexual band, Rebecca. Well, sexist performance. I mean, it's another. You know, it depends how. You know, some people like to be very kind of show-offy when it comes to that as well.
That wouldn't involve you, of course, would it?
Well, I mean, I don't really do too many sex acts in public. I like to keep that relatively private.
Sex is another thing that a lot of people...
Should they be allowed to use sex? Yes. What do you want to say?
Were you going to answer?
What do you want to say specifically?
That you've used, again, being accused of using.
Of using
as
sex?
As a gimmick, yeah.
Oh, using sex, you mean on stage?
On stage.
Oh, everyone's done that. I mean, that's a sort of tradition. I mean, from before Mae West.
But you even got, you know, you're an exploiter of it rather than, you know...
Oh, I'm not exploiter.
But
I'm just a singer.
Yeah.
I'm not a sex exploiter. I mean, I don't take my clothes off. I'm not a stripper.
I don't really like the idea of being a sex object.
Really?
But I can be played with from time to time.
It's done pretty good for you over the years, though. It's not...
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't be what you're not. No, you know, what I really meant before is, you know, it must be tough for some people, like shy people in showbiz, and then they have to live up to some sort of image of being something that they can't be.
A lot of these celebrity books, so that they will give you lots and lots of money if you write, mostly about sexual things. Right. You know, so they're not really interested in a book unless it's full of sex. So,
speaking of sex,
speaking of which, you know, chapter 1, you know, do we really want to do that? You know, I'm not sure if I'm that interested in writing it.
They always think, oh, you know, just think of so-and-so's, what they've done, what Errol Flynn's sex life was, you know, or what, you know, it's big fantasies for them, you know, they can project themselves into that, you know. A guy come up to me in the pub and say, will you please leave this pub? I say, why? I want something to eat. And he says, I don't like your way of life. Well, I mean, he doesn't know me. I mean, he's only got my way of life from the news of the world or wherever he's got it from, or maybe he's just imagined the whole thing. I don't know how he knows what my way of life is. Only in as far as the media, so it's a fantasy.
There was a poster outside this college, and it said,
Mick Jagger slept with your grandmother. It was a joke, so it's quite funny, really. And it was meant as a sort of joke, because it was a college gig, you know, for like 20-year-olds, basically 20-year-old audience.
But your own image, Mick Jagger's image.
I don't believe in images, by the way. I mean, I believe in them, but I don't personally try and project any.
Yeah. Well, is it hard trying to live up to this image that people have of Mick Jagger?
No, because I don't try to.
Yeah. At all.
No.
Mick, how do you react to the tremendously bad publicity you get personally, virtually all around the world?
I don't sort of think about it. Is this bad or good? Well, I don't have a sort of bad publicity agent who goes around, you know what I mean? It's just what, you know, people sell newspapers by writing bad things, so that's what they tend to write about. And if you do anything nice, like sort of hit an old lady on the head, I mean, they don't write about it, you know, they just sort of, you know, I mean, that's what, I mean, everyone knows that.
Do people have preconceptions about you?
I can't tell. I'm sure they have. Fantasies they have. Not saying interviewers necessarily. Ordinary people, just people in the street, have certain fantasies. I think they have fantasies about everyone connected with rock and roll or films, you know. I think that's what films and, you know, show business, or what you want to call it, is about, you know, as far as they're concerned. And the media have always never tried to destroy that, you know.
It's only press and media that like to have images because it's useful to put people into categories or project them as images, like films. I mean, because like TV is an image projected onto a screen, often behind a screen. So you've got to have something to project on it, i.e. a personality, which is what TV is, like David Frost, right? So you work out what he is and what he is to the audience and sell it like a soap commercial. But I mean, we didn't really like that. So we weren't prepared to go along with that. That's why I don't believe in images. Though, I mean, I can see they exist. But images are reflections, and I don't want to be one. And so that you can be everything.
Well, it's the sort of sexy, evil, satanic...
You can be nice,
guy.
nasty, masculine, feminine, you know, all those things. And everyone is all those things.
Millions of teenagers almost around the world hang on virtually each word that you drop.
Oh, I've got a backache. Hang on, man.
Do you yourself feel any responsibility towards these people because they respect you so much?
No, only because a responsibility that one should feel for everybody, whether you're anyone buys your records or whether you're just somebody walking down the street. It's your responsibility for your brother, it's your responsibility. I mean, everyone else's responsibility to give them as much understanding and as much love as you can.
If there are a lot of people who are convinced that in some way you and your music are an evil influence, that must be a challenge that you would take seriously and want to reply to.
I don't take it seriously anymore. I think we've won, you know. I mean, I don't think people do. I mean, I don't know if you are saying you think so. I'm saying, yeah, that at the beginning, you know, when we started out, they did. People would say that. I think now, I think they've accepted us. I mean, especially in England. I mean, if you stay around in England for longer than 5 years, you know, you become like an institution, you know, like you know.
Now, when you guys first started, you had a real bad boy image. Now, was this something that you consciously created, or were you just rowdy young'uns?
I think we're just like ordinary rowdy people, you know, and, you know, those days people would, like, when they went into show business, they were always told they had to behave in a certain way, you know, not to upset anyone and be really, you know, goody-goody and all that. So that was the way normally everyone behaved, even if you didn't, you know, even if you were rowdy and you got drunk every night and you got really crazy, you weren't supposed to let anyone know that. That was the sort of tradition in those days.
What do you think your public image is today?
I've no idea really. I don't really care. I've never worried about what it is.
But there's been so many things over the years. I mean, you know all those things.
It's a journalistic claptrap, all of it. You know, what they want to make you into this year, or they want to make you into a 40-year-old a healthy degenerate, or a jet-setting celebrity, or a satanic... it's just journalistic cliches, really.
It's interesting, you know, everybody's got their image of Mick Jagger, and I think very often it's a different image. I wonder what your image of yourself is.
When I look in the mirror, I think, what a mess. No, images, this image thing is just a thing of media. People have many, many facets of personality, and that includes me. And so when you're on the road, for instance, you become this, like a bit, you have a lot more ego when you're on the road, because you really need it to deal with the audience and to deal with press or to deal with the pressures.
And he says a lot of them start to believe their own publicity. And that's true in any kind of show business. You know, once it's very easy, you know, you're on the road, you're successful, maybe you're young, maybe you're not, it doesn't really make any difference. And people start telling you, oh, you're great, Mick, you know, you're wonderful, and if you start really believing that, you know, disappear up your own bum.
Do you read everything that's written about you in the papers?
God, no, that's the worst thing. You never read, I don't read very much of it, actually. I mean, if you come across it or someone shows it to you, you're not going to say, oh, no. And if it's a bad review, I love reading the really rotten reviews. I don't read the good ones.
I'm really, how do you say, thick-skinned. Either I've grown to be, or I am naturally very insensitive to other people's feelings, especially people that I don't know. Except in an audience, you know, and I take notice of them because I've come to see them, so I take notice of how they react.